YOLO lovebirds of YouTube. Today I want to talk to you guys about relationships and the different generations and how things have changed, and some things have gotten better and some things have gotten worse. I won't go too far back. I'll go to my grandparents' generation, a very resilient generation. They were very problem solving and a very humble generation, they almost everybody in that generation, just what they did is, just if they had a problem, they solved all their problems. Now, if it was unsolvable, they still managed to solve it somehow, man. Like, divorce was not a fucking thing, and they were able to do this under really messed up circumstances, right? And then you have my parents' generation. I'm 35, so if maybe that gives some insight. So my parents' generation, they kind of deviated, right? They were resilient in their own way. They had patience, and they were able to ride out stormy weather. In terms of relationships, they knew after really bad weather comes the sunshine, and for some, and this is why I say their generation kind of deviated, because some of them people had like real life issues and real problems, and the problems were so much so that they were one of the first generations to like actually divorce, because they had real relationship issues, but for the most part they were able to like set aside their differences and just ride it out, and that patience paid off. My generation, I'm the end of Generation X. I consider myself the end of Generation X. Because Generation Y is a little different, Generation X, man, it's like if there's some rain, man, like in the relationship, even if it looks like it's gonna rain, they're like, man, screw the umbrella, screw the weather. Like, I think it's better we split up. Married, kids, no kid, it doesn't matter, man. It's like there's no way. They don't give a shit, dude. They can't ride out any type of weather. Umbrellas are for like going to the beach and getting tans, like they're messed up in a different way, right? My generation can't sit down like adults, like, hey, lower your voice, sit down like an adult, and let's try and figure this out. Maybe we can compromise, maybe we could make changes, maybe whatever the hell, right? And then you have the millennial generation. I'm stuttering with that word today for some reason. Millennials. This was a very antisocial generation, because my generation, we played outside, right? We were outside all day. We bullied people. People bullied us. It was like just natural pecking order, just at work, right? Like, my generation, like, I could go into a room and it could be anyone from any generation, any walks of life, any financial class, and I could still spark up a conversation and have a human to human moment. You know what I'm saying? And carry that conversation and have a good time in that room. Where the newer generation, the millennial generation, I don't think they're able to do that. They can't. Like, they were too much on the internet, too much on the phones, too much, like, the way they grew up, it was just socialization was electronic, right? Which is a major major handicap, I think, you know? So when it comes to relationships, it's like you don't really even know who you're with. Everyone seems to be like bipolar, you know? Like they say one thing and then do another thing, you know? Everything is like screwed up. It takes a really long time for the millennial generation to figure out who's who, you know? Like Generation X, we all went through the grinder, you know what I'm saying? And it didn't take a long time. It took a year, you know? Like to really know someone. Like a year was enough time. Like you'll go through the grinder, and whoever comes out on the other side, it'll be pretty obvious and evident that, you know what, the person you were pretending to be, you're not that person. Or the person that, you know, you really didn't shed that much light on, that person came out. Now I know who you really are, you know, in good ways and in bad. But yeah, I think it's different for the younger generation, man. So these are the differences, and I'd love to hear what you millennials have to say in terms of dating. And I'm not talking about like just dating to screw each other. I'm talking about like trying to create like lasting relationships, you know? Healthy, lasting relationships where you're happy with someone, you're trying to prosper with someone, you're both trying to become financially more stable, raise kids the right way, you know? By right way, I mean like raise the next generation of adults, not the next generation of jailbirds that are going to be locked in that system of repetitive just jails and prisons, you know? So I'm talking about real relationships, the real way. I'm so curious to know you guys' turmoil in regards to relationships. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave it at that. If you guys want to leave a comment, say something to me. I'd love to have that conversation with the millennial about this. But you guys have a nice day. Peace.